Travis Wayne Goodsell. Alrighty. One of the side effects, the consequences of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints' leadership, the prophets, refusing to answer Mormons' questions. And if you don't remember, that was several decades ago when they stopped responding to member questions. Members would often contact the prophets and ask questions about doctrine and scriptures and theology, and the church just said enough. It's too much to handle. And as a result, the church created a policy of having all your mail redirected back to your stake president for determination as to whether you're supposed to be excommunicated for asking a question. Well, Thinker of Thoughts did a video series yesterday from a discussion of two guys with Kwaku. And I don't know why Kwaku is turned to as the Mormon of Mormons to go to for all things Mormon. Is it because he got promoted to be an official apologist for the church? He's still a rookie. Maybe that's why these guys are questioning him, so that they can get quotes for videos on YouTube. And Kwaku is still not catching on. He's being used for this purpose. Full disclosure, I gave Kwaku the key of translator, and he rejected it. As well as I did the video that I keep razzing him about concerning his video that he did on consistencies, as they're called plagiarism, Kwaku. But he thinks that plagiarism is proof of the Book of Mormon's truth. And this is a consequence of the church by not answering Mormons' questions. People then go to others to get their questions answered. President Oaks, are you a racist? Hello, President Oaks, are you a racist? He will not answer you. He'll continue to give talks and hear him repeat videos or redo videos to demonstrate his racism. But he will never come out and admit he's racist. Even the NAACP, as they have to go to the church and say, come on, guys. We need to have sensitivity training again with you. Okay, we'll send you a member of the 70 to report back to us on what you tell him. And so, yeah, it's very clear. Mormons will never get answers to the questions. And so Mormons look elsewhere. And you've seen that time and time again if you're paying attention to the news. Chad Daybell, Lori Vallow, they weren't getting answers from the church, as the church even did bother to come out and say, no, you're wrong. It's not the second coming yet. This isn't the latter days. And so, in that particular case, it's Mormon's spiritual witness that says, no, that's an unacceptable answer. And so now the prophets are false, and we are now the authorities of the church. Apologists are doing that same type of thing, but they are not admitting the prophets are false. They're just taking over as the voice of the prophets. That's what Kwaku's doing. He's justifying the prophets not answering questions or ignoring the questions they've already answered. And I've gone over some of those with you, such as map making in the church for the Book of Mormon lands. The church has come out and said, nope, there is no designation for the lands of the Book of Mormon. All of them are rejected by us, and we will not give you the answer of where the Book of Mormon took place. That's the official statement of the church. And yet there are at least a half a dozen different theories that all need to be dismissed because they can't confirm their theory because there are no plates. And so Thinker of Thoughts did a video titled Apologetic Blunder, saying the quiet part out loud, racism and the Joseph God theory. That's where he lured me in and deceptively tricked me because it's the Adam God theory. And so I thought it was going to be all about Brigham Young, and it was, but I was curious about the Joseph God theory because I'm not catching anything about Joseph in this. The two guys are wanting a firm statement from Kwaku as a black Mormon. Is Brigham Young a racist? And was it acceptable? And Kwaku spends 3 minutes, 17 seconds, 0.16, avoiding giving the obvious answer. Yeah, Brigham Young's a fallen prophet. He's wrong. It's not from God. He's racist. So Kwaku, now what do you have to do with that knowledge? Yeah, the church is not true, is it? And they don't go into that, I guess. I never watched the original video of this discussion, so I don't know. But there were some other issues in this video that I need to do a video on. And so I'm doing my laundry this morning. And so what I'll do is I will do a speaking segment, put it in the video maker. I have Kwaku's video set up to go. I will then play the segment and then cut and edit it, do a commentary, put that in, do the next thing in such a manner. And so if you can't hear, as I will be listening to it live, you will have already heard it on the video here. And of course it'll be a better quality than mine. I'm poor. I was a victim of attempted assassination by orders of the church, and so my air unit is not the best, and so I had to buy fans as we're nearing summertime. And so it never fails. The videos I do not do this with and explain, I always get a comment saying, your audio sucks. Understand, the church tried to have me assassinated. How hard is that to understand? And so, anyway, so let's begin with the first segment, and we'll go from here. It's only 3 minutes, but as you can see, I've already spent 10 minutes with this introduction.
Can I ask you a question here? I apologize once again to the caller, but you're saying that made me think of a question, and I want to be as delicate as possible when I ask this. It's kind of personal. Kwaku, how is it that you personally have resolved in your mind the issue of the priesthood ban?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the way I look at it is my faith in regard to this dispensation. Joseph Smith is like Heavenly Father, Jesus Christ, Heavenly Mother, Adam, Joseph Smith is right there, right? If you're to do like a hierarchy, okay?
Alrighty, let's start this up.
Can I ask you a question here? I apologize once again to the caller, but you're saying that made me think of a question, and I want to be as delicate as possible when I ask this. It's kind of personal. Kwaku, how is it that you personally have resolved in your mind the issue of the priesthood ban?
Oh yeah, I mean, the way I look at it is my faith in regard to this dispensation. Joseph Smith is like Heavenly Father, Jesus Christ, Heavenly Mother, Adam. Joseph Smith is right there, right? You're like a hierarchy, okay?
Okay, I think that's our first segment right there. It's a Mormon thing, and most Mormons, it just slides right over. Christians, they'll pick up on this, and they'll go, what? And not just for Joseph Smith being right up there with God. It's the use of Heavenly Mother. And so, let's do a copy and paste. Okay. So this is going to screw me up because now I got to get to the part where I left off, and then and so notice he jumps to Joseph Smith rather than Brigham Young. And I don't know if this is what was behind Thinker of Thought's titling it the Joseph God Theory, as I'm not sure if Thinker of Thoughts believes that Joseph Smith is the racist. And I can't figure it out. Maybe by going over it again, I'll figure it out. But Kwaku goes right to Joseph Smith, and he's distracting from answering the question outright because he hasn't reconciled it. That was his answer. I haven't reconciled it. Thank you for your question. Next. Wouldn't that be nice to have politicians say that? Or religious leaders? And again, these guys are seeking questions about Kwaku to convert him to the dark side of apostasy. And so these guys aren't as innocent as Kwaku is deceived by. But he distracts by throwing out other stuff, hoping that they'll take the bite and run with it, so that he doesn't have to deal with answering the question, which is, how do you handle being in a church that's racist? Specifically against blacks. And so he's hoping that, throwing out Heavenly Mother. Oh, well, that's another Mormonism. Oh yes, Heavenly Mother. Let me talk about Heavenly Mother. Let's discuss her and debate her. See, that's one of them. And then Joseph Smith. Oh, Joseph Smith is like a god. Really? Joseph Smith is a god, you think? Notice, Joseph ascended, that prophet and seer. that him refers to Joseph as ascending. Now go back to conference and go back before to his invitation to conference to Christians. He never says ascended. Nelson will not do it, cannot do it, refuses to do it. But our hymn says Joseph ascended, that prophet and seer. Ascended to heaven. I'm probably mixing up the lyrics, but it's in there. But that, again, distracts from the video message here. I just wanted to point that out to you. And so again, that's the tactic of apologists. They can't answer the question. It's too uncomfortable. They don't want it answered because they're going to be on record as having answered it, and it'll go contrary to the church and show that they're confessing that the church is wrong and not true and fraud and white supremacist and blah blah blah. And instead of saying, you know what, you're right, I am now coming out of the closet, I'm leaving Mormonism, thank you guys for helping me make this move in my life, and they would have had billions of views. But Kwaku is now under pressure. He is live on a video where he's getting to talk about Mormonism and all things Mormonism, and he's demonstrating his apologetic fallacy skills. If you've seen the other clips from Thinker of Thoughts. And so, yeah, this is the downfall of Kwaku that you get to witness live.
After that, it's everyone else. Joseph Smith as the prophet of the dispensation, as one of the 7 gods who's on the council.
Ever since I announced that the lawsuit is on, again, number 3, we're again having the exact same computer problems as I did with the first 2. It's amazing how that works. And when Church 1, as they had to get the judges to cheat for them, it just went away, sort of. The first one was the death threat with the, oh God, I still haven't unpacked. And then the second one was Amazon, followed by Discover Card. And, anyway, let us proceed.
After that, it's everyone else. Joseph Smith as the prophet of the dispensation, as one of the 7 gods.
Alrighty. I think he says something else here. Hold on.
Who's on the council?
Yeah, there we go. Oops, did I forget to... No, okay, we're good. So we gotta do a copy and another paste. Alright. Oh dear God. So, as most people would get distracted with, we're all scum. Kwaku is pulling a new theology on Mormons. They don't take the bite. They let it speak for itself. There has been no official church statement to explain how many were in that council in heaven. Most assume 12. Many want to include themselves, and so in order to be humble, they have to then spread the love and say that all of us were involved in the council in heaven. And so for Kwaku to come out and say 7 were in that high council in heaven meeting. Okay, Kwaku. Oh man, those two guys were brilliant in exposing Kwaku. It is not official doctrine, Kwaku. In fact, if, say Joseph Smith was right, and we are supposed to be the learning of the Jews and the language of the Egyptians, as the Keystone Scripture says, that we should probably refer to the Egyptians for this information and not rely on Kwaku to tell us what it is. So after I click this segment, I will insert for you the Egyptian Council in Heaven.
That's who we need. I pay attention to what he said and wrote. Afterward, you have prophets who are not dispensational prophets, but they are prophets, and I do not hold them to the same standard I hold Joseph Smith.
Alrighty, so as you can see, I am the official spokesperson for the church, the official representative, not Kwaku. Alrighty, next.
That's who we need. I pay attention to what he said and wrote.
Really?
Afterward, you have prophets who are not dispensational prophets, but they are prophets, and I do not hold them to the same standard I hold Joseph Smith.
My goodness. He's now lying. Yes, Kwaku, I'm calling you out for lying as a liar. No Mormon studies Joseph Smith's words. Church doesn't allow us to. Shall I give some examples? His 1839 talk to the Quorum of the 12 with Brigham Young as the new president. 19 July 1840. All Mormons are going to be familiar with this one because they've spread the mythological tradition on this one. That's the actual wording as from the scribe. And warning, she's female. And then the King Follett Discourse. Yeah, none of those are in our Doctrine and Covenants. I wonder why.
So they can make doctrinal and mistakes, they can make a social mistakes, they can make a ton of mistakes, and I'm fine with it.
All right.
So they can make doctrinal and mistakes, they can make a social mistakes, they can make a ton of mistakes, and I'm fine with it.
Occasionally, the one guy sitting in the lounge chair with the panel walls, he jumps forward in his chair, and that's his tell that Kwaku has just dropped a bombshell. I don't think he was doing it there. I was more focused on Kwaku, but I noticed as I was watching last night, that's condition. Are the prophets listening? Kwaku, apostasy. But he softens it with mistakes, doctrinal errors, stuff like that. And I've done this video explaining that they're the prophets of the church. Ideally, they're supposed to be the authorities on all things Mormonism, as Mormons are expected to look to them for the answers to their questions, and that they're supposed to come out with official declarations. Oh, we declare that Adam is now Heavenly Father. Oh, okay, it's no longer Jesus Christ. Well, yeah, he's the polygamist now. What? So, Mary had necrophilia sex with Adam, which is incestual as well, to give birth to Jesus. Yeah, I guess that would be. Huh. Yeah, it's amazing how the fruit grows from a single seed. He's now setting up a scenario in which Kwaku can justify dismissing any racism, sexism, bigotry, hatred, neglect of the poor, crime, etc. from any of the prophets. Is because Kwaku is now changing doctrine that as long as you have the original seed, it doesn't matter if other seeds that have crept in produce weeds and are leading and guiding you and walking beside you, helping you find the wrong way, teaching you all that you must know to burn in hell someday. It's a good thing I'm recording this, because I would never remember those lines ever again. So there you got an exclusive from me. But that's what he's saying, is he's setting up a scenario here where he can dismiss Brigham Young as a racist and still claim the current church is true, because he's now changing the doctrine to make it that the church is not led by God anymore, as long as Joseph Smith was led by God. He's now justifying apostasy. The great apostasy of the church in the latter days. It doesn't matter. Oh, Oaks? Yeah, he shot somebody at Temple Square? Who cares? We all make mistakes. We're all human. This is horrifying doctrine that Kwaku is building up to, and you can see his eyes as they're all big, and he's looking off out into space because he's trying to create this as he goes. This is apologetics. Is that they don't have any answers, they have to make it all up. And so you will see their eyes all off into space, or if it's a serious topic, they're down here with the emotion thing. If you know anything about reading eye contact, the nonverbal eye contact communication. And so yeah, Kwaku is literally making this all up. And I'm surprised these other two guys have got a better poker face. Because this is hilarious.
Priesthood ban was implemented by Brigham Young. Do I think it was the most sparkling thing ever? I don't. But did it come from Joseph Smith? It didn't. And because of that, yeah, it sucks. I mean, I wish we could be the church that could walk around the bragging rights of, we weren't the racist ones, guys. You were and you were. We were good. Unfortunately, no church can really make that claim. But
on with more priceless gems with Kwaku.
Priesthood ban was implemented by Brigham Young. Do I think it was the most sparkling thing ever? I don't. But did it come from Joseph Smith? It didn't. And because of that,
Oh, he did the move.
Yeah, it sucks. I mean, I wish we could be the church that could walk around the bragging rights of, we weren't the racist ones, guys. You were and you were. We were good. Unfortunately, no church can really make that claim. But I don't expect.
Oh, no church can make that claim. Yep, that's a fallacious argument. That everybody's doing it, so it's okay that we do it. No, Kwaku. No, it's not. See, if we're supposed to be the only true church on the face of the earth, then we would expect all other churches to do it, because we don't. Oh. I was certain the guy who gave his tell was going to jump on Kwaku about Joseph Smith, and I was ready to go, okay, here we go, here's the Joseph God thing. Nope. He then sat back in his chair and let Kwaku do all the work again. And so again, with the death of Joseph Smith, Mormons at that period of time needed to do what Joseph Smith was trying to teach and start all over again with whose seed is the right seed for succession. And if they didn't know, they had section 107 verse 22. And I've gone over this a gabillion times. Nobody followed the scriptures to have a proper succession. It's not Brigham Young. The law of the United States of America in the Temple Lot case, yeah, they sided with the LDS Church as the official successor for Joseph Smith, just because it was his son. The judge, I guess, assumed, oh, okay, religion, yeah, well, it's the son who's the successor, it's now law, because that's his judgment in the case. And I gave the temple lot to the other church, but, the community of Christ gets to claim the true successor of Joseph Smith. And, of course, if Kwaku were to realize this, he'd have to backtrack and figure out another train of distraction on this matter. Because the doctrine that Kwaku is presenting is that the seed of Brigham Young can produce bad fruit, and it's okay. Kwaku's okay with it, because the seed of Joseph Smith produced good fruit. Yeah, that's a completely foreign, strange doctrine to Mormons. And probably to ex-Mormons too, I hope not. Because each successor, Mormons are supposed to, get a testimony of. They have to have known his fruit in advance, so that the whole Melchizedek priesthood could then have a vote and say, I want that guy as the president, you will be the first counselor and you will be the second counselor. Yeah. We don't do that, do we? Nobody does it. And instead, we got what inspired the mafia crime family here in America to organize their authority after the churches, after Brigham Young's pattern that he established changed. And so Mormons don't get that, because they say, well, Brigham Young is a true prophet of God. He can change whatever he wants, Travis. But he's not a true prophet of God. That's the whole point. And if he's not a true prophet of God, then John Taylor is not a true prophet of God, not Wilford Woodruff, not Joseph F. Smith, not Heber J. Grant, and George Albert Smith, and I'm probably missing some people, but I don't care. Nelson, all the way to Nelson. Not true. They're all false prophets, because they did not obey the scriptures. They did not adhere to the word of God. They did not hold to the iron rod. They did not follow the precepts to have the whole Melchizedek priesthood vote for succession after Joseph Smith was murdered. It's that simple. There is no true church on the face of the earth if Joseph Smith's church was true or not. But that's a different question. The question here is, Brigham Young a racist? The answer is yes. And now you know why. It's because the fruit of Brigham Young is racism and sexism and crime and a whole bunch of murder and lots of other stuff. That's the seed that was Brigham Young, because it produced those fruit. And so we know Brigham Young by his fruit. Kwaku is being interrogated and put on live video chat exposing that Brigham Young is a false prophet as the official spokesperson for the church. And Kwaku will go from that, and instead of going, oh dear God, the church isn't true, he'll instead try to figure out another train of thought and want a rematch. Or he'll go on his own channel and talk about how they just don't understand. And I really showed them. They just don't understand it. They don't see it. Oh, Kwaku. Kwaku, Kwaku, Kwaku. How hast thou fallen? You ascended to the heights of apologetics and could go no further, and you fell.
But I don't expect it to. I didn't join thinking that we would have this stellar record with race. The Book of Mormon has prejudice between the Nephites and the Lamanites. One was the Church of God, one wasn't. It makes sense that we had that again today. There was a priesthood man. I'm happy I wasn't alive when it was around. But like I said, it's not did Joseph have that vision, right? Did he actually see Moroni, and did he translate those plates? Did he speak to Peter, James, and John? Because if he did, that's what matters.
Okay, Kwaku, what new doctrine have you got for us now? You must understand, Kwaku is very popular among Mormons. He gets lots and lots of views from Mormons. Mormons love him. This is also why he's being targeted by evil ex-Mormons. Because only the righteous are targeted by evil. So, let us proceed.
But I don't expect it to. I didn't join thinking that we would have this stellar record with race. The Book of Mormon has prejudice between the Nephites and the Lamanites. One was the Church of God, one wasn't. It makes sense that we had that again today. There was a priesthood man. I'm happy I wasn't alive when it was around. But like I said, it's not did Joseph have that vision, right? Did he actually see Moroni, and did he translate those plates? Did he speak to Peter, James, and John? Because if he did, that's what matters.
Okay. And there's our next stop. Yeah, there actually were several in there, but much of it was repeated. He detracts by using the Book of Mormon as his excuse. Oops. Yeah, Brigham Young did that to justify his racism. But again, he seems to confess that he's a convert. Ooh, ouch. Ouchie mama. And so he doesn't have the Mormon upbringing, the traditional Mormon upbringing. And it appears that he's talked about being a BYU student, so he's most likely come from elsewhere outside of Utah and came to BYU, where Mormons embraced him as one of their own, as their token black friend, and Kwaku ate it up and got all involved in the church classes at BYU, teaching all about the apologetics, because he clearly is an excellent student. Learned to memorize all the fallacies for his videos. And so again, he's making the false equivalency, that if Joseph had the first vision, which he did, and if he saw Nephi, which he did, what? Nephi, Travis? Yeah, he apparently is refusing to accept that it's Nephi, because the church refuses, even though they acknowledge it as an error. And so, yeah, he's saying that the seed of the fruit of Nelson is the seed of Joseph Smith. I'm gonna have irritated eyes now all day. And that's not how it works, Mormons. You see, if we were to use the analogy properly, Joseph Smith started out with a seed, produced a tree with fruit, and then the successor would come from the seed of that fruit, of that tree. Except that nobody took any of Joseph's seeds and tried to produce fruit from it. That's the whole Melchizedek priesthood, big priesthood meeting. Okay, this is who we want to be the first presidency. That is the process of taking the seed from Joseph's fruit and passing it off to someone else. And then, even though they vote for the next successor, that successor has to do the work to show that he is the rightful successor and produce fruit of his own for Mormons to go, wow, or, oh my God, we made a mistake. We chose the wrong guy. And Mormons miss that. And that's the difficult part for Mormons, is they can't separate Joseph out of the equation to condemn the current church, because it means they're in the wrong religion, and where do they go for the right one? And I understand. It sucks not to have a true religion that you've believed you were in your whole life, or converted to. You know, it sucks to be on the bad side, the wrong team. Referring to Holland's clip from Kwaku from the youth, or the young adult fireside blitz they did before conference. I still need to too much work, because I have to take that conference, load it onto my movie maker here, and then edit out the parts of Holland, and then do edits from that for video clips and such. But anyway, so this is Kwaku in denial. He can't come to acknowledge the church is false because of the murder of Joseph Smith. And I understand, but Mormons need to get over it. To quote Mick Mulvaney, and so ex-Mormons, like these guys, they spend their life criticizing the Mormon church, like I do. But mine's more of Mormons warning, pay attention, because Joseph Smith was right, but you're not following him, you're following the current prophets who you know are wrong. You just can't come to grips with it. It's too mentally troubling for you to handle. And you can see Kwaku, his ramblings, as it takes him to the very end of the video clip to finally come out and say it. So this now is getting painful to watch.
Okay, so I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'm understanding you to say that you believe the priesthood ban was a mistake.
Yeah, Kind of. I believe it was a mistake in the way that God will allow things to happen, and God will work the term, the counterworking of his will. He can take anything and make it work for good. So whether that was purely Brigham Young just being a jerk, or it was him being confused and the prejudice won over, or whatever it was that was going on in the psyche, God made it work. Is going to make it work for the best. That's the way I see it. So I don't believe that Brigham Young was just praying and God said, take away the priesthood ban from the blacks. Again, God could do that if he wanted to. He could. He made us. It's his priesthood. He could.
But you don't believe he did?
I don't believe he did, no.
Okay.
Another thing I should have brought out in that previous segment was that Kwaku has not answered the question. He's distracted, tried to deflect, tried to take them down a rabbit hole. They wouldn't bite. And so now he's bearing testimony. He had that vision. He saw Moroni. He, saw Peter, James, and John, which, by the way, is not the keys of the first presidency. It's the keys for the 12 apostles, not the first presidency, which are the keys of Moses that Joseph Smith says he received from Moses in the Kirtland Temple, where Elijah also gave him sealing keys. And yet somehow Brigham Young had those sealing keys to seal Heber C. Kimball to a third wife without Joseph's knowing. So, all right, let's carry on here. See, again, Mormons miss all this because the church is lying because they're not the true church.
Okay, so I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'm understanding you to say that you believe the priesthood ban was a mistake.
He's looking up to create an answer.
I believe it was a mistake in the way that
either it is or it isn't.
God will allow things to happen.
What?
And God will work everything.
He's not blaming God.
The counterworking of his will. He can take anything and make it work for good.
What?
So that was purely Brigham Young just being a jerk, or it was him being confused and the prejudice won over, or whatever it was that was going on in the psyche, God made it work. It's going to make it work for the best. That's the way I see it. So
he's going to say so. Let's see if we need to stop there or if we can add a few extra.
I don't believe that Brigham Young was just praying and God said, take away the priesthood ban from the blacks. Again, God could do that if he wanted to. He could. He made us. It's his priesthood. He could.
But you don't believe he did?
I don't believe he did.
Okay.
And that's it? Okay.
So I don't want to put words.
All right. My goodness, so we don't need that clip. Wow. And so he blames God. Isn't there like stages of guilt, or that's part of the stages: guilt, acceptance, denial, anger, whatever crap list that guy came up with. But Kwaku is falling into that trap because he does not have knowledge on the subject matter. And that's the trap that guy who created that list of stages was doing, was purposely setting it up for those who do not have knowledge of things. And so thus wicked always have that same pattern. And that's why cops look for those patterns with profiling and such, so that they can fit the profile to a person. But here, Kwaku is trying to justify Brigham Young's racism by saying, oh, well, God turned Brigham Young's lemon into lemonade. It was God's will. But he then backtracks and says, well, it wasn't really God, but yeah, it's sad and pathetic. And so it's real simple. It wasn't God who had Brigham Young be a racist. And so I still didn't figure out, by going over this again, the Joseph God thing. Maybe it's because he tries to justify Joseph being good to explain away racism. That's the closest I can come to. But dear God, Kwaku, just give up. That's all you got to do. I mean, maybe the church is extorting you. Maybe you'll have to leave BYU. You'll be excommunicated, so you'll have to leave the school, and you won't have your friends anymore. Your friends will all shun you, and then their true racism will come out, as their one and only token black friend will be gone, and will have betrayed them. And so, but understand, Kwaku, you're among many who have been through what you should be going through after this little video thing that you did. Oh God, that was ugly. So over 3 minutes for Kwaku to finally say the church isn't true, and yet he didn't really say it. He just said that Brigham Young was not inspired by God to be a racist. That was his way of saying it, because he couldn't come to grips with the reality. And that was so sad. Yeah, you only have a faith crisis if you don't have knowledge. That's the one thing ex-Mormons don't get. Is all ex-Mormons go through a faith crisis. They all tell you that. I'm the only ex-Mormon who's not really an ex. I was just denied going back to my ward because the bishop said, hey, quit publishing Joseph Smith as a translator, or why do you bother coming to church? That was an extortion threat. He doesn't see it that way because he can't see it that way, because that would mean he's the bad guy. And so, yeah, I refused to go back to church. And he then went and spread the word to the whole ward. Stay away from Travis. He's twisting the scriptures. You know, he's crazy. He's evil and apostate. And so, yeah, they all obeyed the bishop, Reed Hammond, and so, yeah, I know exactly how you will be treated, Kwaku. You just have to have the courage to leave the church. And that's one thing that Mormons need to understand, is that, yes, Joseph Smith is a translator, but not of the Book of Mormon. He had nothing to do with the Book of Mormon. Daddy gave him an assignment to distract Martin Harris, because Martin Harris insisted on being a part of it. So what do you do when you don't have actual plates yet? Because Daddy still needed to make them after the manuscript was written, and so that they can transfer it to the copper plates, not the gold plates. Again, Knights Templar was the cover story symbolism behind all of it. But if you're not going to listen to my videos, if you're going to make excuses because of the poor audio and video and the fans from the air unit to try to keep this place down, it looks like I got to lower the temperature to cool things down here. So, yeah, this was pathetic, Kwaku. But know you have family if you decide to leave. and have that courage. But the problem is where are you going to go? Because you're just a college boy, and you're going to have to try to figure out how to go it alone from here. So you won't have the church to support you. You will not have Mormons to support you. They will treat you like Korihor was treated when he came out and confessed and was exposed. That's how Mormons are. That's how the true church treats heathen. Okay.